Israel's top diplomat in Shanghai held a media briefing yesterday on the recent conflict with Iran, calling on China to help rein in Iran's military and nuclear ambitions. Ravit Baer is the Israeli Consul General in Shanghai, and she joins us now. Ravit, it's great to have you on the program, and thank you so much for coming on. You're saying China is the only one capable of influencing Iran. Can you flesh that view for us? And really, how much leverage Beijing really has in this whole conflict?
Well, thank you for inviting me today. I'm very happy to be here and talk about what had happened until last week, the 12-day operation that we had in Iran, which was, and I did have a press briefing yesterday, and we spoke a lot about what were the aims of this operation and the way we saw it as a major success in lifting the Iranian threat, mostly the Iranian nuclear threat from the Middle East region, specifically on Israel, but not only on us. And we have spoken a lot about what it meant, if Iran would have had a nuclear weapon, and the fact that this threat, this imminent, immediate threat has been lifted, how is that very conducive to peace in the Middle East, for settlements, for stopping any kinds of an arm race. We also spoke about the future, and the future should be a place where Iran kind of gives up its ambitions to have a nuclear weapon, to have a nuclear military program, and that will require some kind of an agreement or an international negotiations that will lead to an agreement, which I think is probably plausible. And in that scenario, China could have a very positive role. China is a very important partner for Iran. Iran's really economy is highly reliant on the Chinese procurement of oil and many other things, and that makes China or puts China in a very unique position in which it can influence Iran. And I think this is a place where China can be a positive actor and can contribute to an agreement or a settlement in which the international community and the IAEA could lead some kind of a settled agreement with Iran on not pursuing their nuclear ambitions and having some kind of a program that is acceptable for the world in that arena, and this is really something in which China can be a very positive actor.
In Consul General, David here, in what specific way you think China can help stabilize the situation?
I think just by, engaging in conversation with Iran. I mean, they can be good partners for the conversation. They could use their kind of diplomatic credit towards Iran in influencing it to agree to a settled, agreement or some kind of settlement to the situation in which they give up on their nuclear military ambitions and receive something else from the international community. I mean, this would be wonderful for Iran. It would be beneficial for the country. It would be extremely beneficial for the people of Iran. The people of Iran are suffering since 1979 under an oppressive, horrible, radical Shia Islam tyranny, which led them to this situation in which they are under international sanctions regime, and their economy is, failing for many years now, and it's in critical condition. So, a settled agreement with the international community on the Iranian nuclear topic will bring to sanctions relief, will bring prosperity, will be extremely beneficial for Iran. But Iran needs someone to help it make that correct decision, go into negotiations, go into settled agreement. And this is where China has the position to make this dialogue, make this discussion with Iran and push it in the right path. And I think this puts China in a very important position. And, mind you that, China is a very important member of the international community. It's a member of the P5 at the Security Council. It has prominent position in the IAEA. It's even been a signatory to the nuclear agreement of 2015, the JCPOA. So I think it would be wonderful if China would take this position, would lead Iran in the right path, and really create a situation in which Israel and the Middle East and the neighbors to Iran are safer, knowing that Iran will never pursue again a nuclear military program.
China also buys around 90% of Iran's oil. I'm just wondering, in terms of the economic ties, is that a point where you think that Beijing can actually leverage here in trying to get Iran to change its activities in the region?
Well, I think it's always true that when you have an economic leverage on another country, you are more influential. I think that kind of goes without saying, and China knows that, and Iran knows that, and they can connect the dots, I guess.
Right. Well, if you could help connect that for us as well, is the call for China to buy less Iranian oil?
I think, unfortunately, a lot of the money and the revenues that come from selling oil, Iranian oil in Iran, goes to Iran malign activities in the region. This is quite remarkable that a country in such a terrible economic situation like Iran, and if you look at the numbers, their value of their currencies in all-time low, they're in an economic crisis, they have unbelievable deaths. But still, for many years, they took whatever revenues they did get into the system and diverted so much of it in order to sponsor, for example, their proxies in the region, like Hezbollah in Lebanon, like the Houthis that threatened both Israel but also, the immediate neighbors of Iran, like Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Militias in Syria and in Iraq. So much of the limited funds that came into Iran from selling oil went to those malign activities, and so much went into the nuclear program, the military nuclear program, billions and billions of dollars, and their ballistic missiles program. And I don't know the exact numbers, but I can tell you this is a substantial amount from whatever budget this country has. So I think it is important to understand that whatever you're buying from Iran, a lot of that fund that will go into Iran will be diverted to malign activities, to threatening its neighbors. And as an Israeli representative, they specifically threaten us with different ways. They've been planning for many, many years, and we actually have evidence for that. They've been planning the annihilation of the Jewish state. This is a very firm ideology that Israel should not exist at all. I mean, we're not talking about, two-state solutions or settled, or it's not even a Palestinian issue. They're talking about destroying completely the presence of Jews in the Middle East and the Jewish state in the Middle East. And they do that by all these means, by developing a military nuclear program, ballistic missiles, and arming and training and funding all those militias. So, when you think about how can you stop that, economic way is one of those ways, I guess.
Having said that, Ravit, I'm wondering, Israel itself has never joined this NPT, the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. Do you think that it should?
I think this is, at the moment, it's not really a relevant question. I mean, we need to focus about what are the actual threats in the Middle East. Iran is signatory to the NPT. It has a comprehensive safeguard agreement signed with the IAEA, and they have many responsibilities about reporting and about exposing all their activities, which they have been violating consistently for the last over 30 years now. So I think this really needs to be the focus. I mean, this country, Iran, has been threatening Israel in annihilation, and they haven't been doing it, in any covert way. They've been doing it very publicly. Everyone from the supreme leader and below him has said it multiple times. And the fact that if you combine such an aggressive regime that threatens openly and quite, consistently and not the existence of another country while developing a nuclear weapon, I think that should be really the focus of the international community.
And Consul General, I think that we hear the message, and the message is clear that China buying or having, as you point out and underscore, economic leverage of Iran there's a card China can play there to encourage more stability in the Middle East. Just to take the other side to that argument, I just want you to hear your comments on this too. If the Iranian economy destabilizes, won't that destabilize the region as well?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That's why I'm thinking that an agreement in which Iran gives up its nuclear military ambitions would bring to all the benefits that will stabilize Iran economically. They will have sanctions relief. They will be a positive trade partner. They will be able. You can buy oil from them. They will return to the SWIFT system. I mean, think about all the positive benefits, and then Iran, prospering would be a better, nation in this region. But you cannot do all of that while they have all these, negative aspirations. If this country is pursuing a military nuclear program aimed at the annihilation of another country, it makes no sense on supporting them economically, because this will actually only pump up even more their ambitions and their at least economic capabilities to execute it. So I do think that the right path, and I don't think China disagree with that. I think China has declared all the time that it believes that the right path is an agreement, a diplomatic agreement, and so on and so forth. So I think that really aligns with how China views the point. I agree with you completely that economic stability of Iran is an interest of the international community and of Israel, but it has to come first. They have to give up. First, I would love for them to give up their ambition to destroy the state of Israel. I think this would be a wonderful step ahead. But let's start with stopping their military nuclear ambitions.